Does anyone have any homework questions before we continue on in section 4.3? Okay. Today then we'll continue on in section 4.3, and after that we'll talk about how do we go forward with this alternate material being, what do they call it? Alternate delivery of our course material. So I had mentioned that we'd be looking at another way of making the golden rectangle today. So to do that, we're going to use the Fibonacci sequence. You'll need your graph paper. Whoops, that's not right. Let's get that corrected here. 5 plus 8 is 13. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. So what we're going to do is build a golden rectangle using squares that are either 1 by 1, 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, and so on. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll zoom out a bit. So you'll need to be in about the middle of your page. If you aren't using graph paper, then make a ruler out of your lined paper, because you'll need to have squares, and it's pretty hard to make a square if you're not using the same size lines. Okay, so in the middle of your piece of paper, we start with the square 1 by 1 to go with the number 1, the first Fibonacci number 1. And we're going to continue to build squares around this, going in a spiral counterclockwise direction. So I make another 1 by 1 square to go with the next Fibonacci number 1. And that goes to the right. And then we're going in a spiral counterclockwise direction. So now I'm up above. And I'm going to use a straight edge so I don't look crooked here. And go make a square 2 by 2. And we continue making squares following the Fibonacci numbers, and that's easy because the way we get the next number is to add 1 and 2. So that brings us to a square 3. So we continue to go around in a counterclockwise direction. This time we have a square 3 by 3. And again, because we make the Fibonacci numbers by adding the two numbers before, we continue to get just the right size square to make. So now I have 3 plus 2 is 5. So I'm going to make a square 5 by 5. So we're going counterclockwise, spiraling out here. And then we're up to 8. 5 plus 3 is 8. And look, we have a rectangle 8 units tall, so we're going to put a square on that. 8 by 8. And then we have 8 plus 5 is 13, and now I can continue to go in a counterclockwise direction and spiral out and make a 13 by 13. There'll be a little bit of graph paper on your quiz to use for this. You know, I keep saying that, and now I'm not sure there will be, because we're doing the quiz's alternate delivery method. So you might have to get your own graph paper. Okay. And we could keep going, but now we'd be off to the side, and we'd be on 21, and that's just not going to fit. Some of you, if you were using lined paper, you might have run out of space already. So if you check the ratios on this, you'll find that you have a golden ratio, a rectangle with the golden ratio. About 1.6. That's because we're making our rectangle with lengths that are pairs of numbers in our Fibonacci sequence, which is how we got the number phi. So now we're up to 21 tall by 13 wide. And if we kept going, we get even closer to phi. So we can go and make a golden rectangle as large as we want by continuing this process. So let's just check. 21 divided by 13, 1.62. And I was measuring 21 squares tall by 13 squares wide. That's how I measured that length. So what did we do? We just drew squares. We drew them 1 by 1, and then another 1 by 1, and then a 2 by 2, 3 by 3, 5 by 5, 8 by 8, and so on. And as we draw those, we're spiraling in a counterclockwise direction. So we actually had started our work with the Fibonacci sequence looking at pineapples and pine cones and other things that grow in a spiral. We see the nautilus shell is another example of a spiral, and this shape is called the logarithmic spiral. Well, it comes from this beautiful growing form that we've created here. This beautiful growing form, if we connect the diagonal corners in a nice smooth curve, starting in the center at the first box you made, and then spiraling out, that's how your nautilus shell grows. And see, there's always as much space to grow as you have to build on, and that's how we get this Fibonacci sequence in nature coming about, because there's as much room to grow as has been growing. And as we spiral out, we see how that growth would happen. This is called a logarithmic spiral that we've made. So you connect in diagonal corners, starting at the inside. I do check and make sure you drew in the corners, so don't just draw something kind of sloppy. And it should be a curve though, right? It's not a connected dots. It's a beautiful logarithmic spiral. Which is how a nautilus shell grows. Okay, so to draw this logarithmic spiral, connect the diagonal corners in a counterclockwise spiral. So just like our last golden rectangle that we made, this is something that takes practice, and so I do encourage you to practice each week. Make sure you know how to do this. We'll put this as a quiz thing to practice. If you didn't write that on your first golden rectangle, you could write that there as well. Okay, practice for the quiz. Oh, that isn't the one I was looking at. Where's the other one that we made? There we go. That one. Okay. So 4.3 was all about the golden rectangle, and now you know 2 ways to make one. If you ever want to make a beautiful rectangle, you are all set. Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay. Then let's go ahead and talk about what to do as we move forward. So I believe the idea about not meeting his classes is to slow the growth of the spread of the coronavirus, so that however many people end up getting it, they don't all get it at once. It's kind of spread out over time. And I'm sorry, because that means you did not sign up for an online class, but here you are getting alternate delivery methods, which is pretty much online. So I want to remind you that you need to be self-disciplined. And I imagine all of you are, or you wouldn't be here, or people watching the video wouldn't be watching the video. Okay. So continue to be self-disciplined. One of the things that you'll need to incorporate in your routine is to check your emails. I know some of you are used to communicating just on Canvas, but I'll be communicating with emails, and I imagine many of your other instructors will as well. So I'll be watching for emails from you, and you please watch for emails from me. So the class will be delivered through videos. Those are linked on the Canvas home page. They're just a recording of our class, and I imagine most of you have seen them before. They're on YouTube, and they'll have to be the ones from last semester now, which is okay. The material hasn't changed. One thing about math is it's the same. So I'll be putting the videos from last semester into our, what do you call that list that they make? Playlist, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. A playlist with the date that I expect you to watch them on, okay? So you can watch those on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays until they call us back to campus. Well, the quiz is scheduled for April 1st, and it will stay April 1st. If we're allowed back on campus, then it will be on campus. So on campus if possible. If it's not on campus, then it will be on Canvas. It will be only available during your class time. So I would set an alarm. Okay, so our class meets at 11:40. Now, if it is on Canvas, it's desirable to be able to scan your answers, and so I want to bring your attention to an app you can use, and right now we can take time to upload it if you have your phone with you or a tablet. It's Adobe Scan. Have you ever sent me a picture that I've received of your work and it looks like a grayscale with kind of a smudgy little bit that you can read? Maybe you haven't done that, but I have gotten many photos from students like that, and usually I can try hard and make it out, but this is a lot better. So this is available at the App Store or at the Play Store. It's free, and I'd ask that you use this to upload the part of your quiz that needs to have the work shown. So it's it's not too bad to use. So once you get it uploaded, you can just choose your camera, and it'll pick out your picture, especially if you have a dark background with a white paper. So let's see if we just scan this. I think I'm too close to show you on the camera. Okay. I'll just pick this off the side here. This will be easy. There. Okay, so it found that little picture I took a picture of, and I can click continue, and it waits to put more pages in, so that's kind of nice. But if I don't want more pages, then push on this button over here, and then you're ready to work with the scan. All right, so that's pretty handy to work with. It makes a nice crisp copy. Does anybody have questions so far? Okay. So about a week before April 1, I'll email you with more details. So again, be watching your emails daily, and feel free to email me anytime as well. Okay, but for now, I would set an alarm. Maybe set it for 11, right? So you have time to get everything ready. You want to have your printer ready in case you want to print anything off. I'm not sure the format yet, if you're going to want to print anything off, or if it will be all multiple choice and then you submit something for the last answers that you have to print. So again, I'll send you more details as I know. But it will be restricted to this class time, okay? So make sure you set your alarm. Now, some people don't have good high-speed internet. I lived in a dead zone for many years until 18 months ago. That was my favorite reason for moving. I'm like, yes, internet, yes. Does anybody else live in a dead zone? Okay, hopefully nobody who's not here lives in a dead zone. So make sure you have good internet. You might want to have backup internet. Backup internet might be to come to campus, might be McDonald's. That was my backup internet because I live in Manitowoc. What else do I have notes for? If you want to take it at a different time, then you'll need a doctor's note or something like that. I do have online students watching, so the online class will be scheduled when their face-to-face proctoring was scheduled, so theirs will be scheduled at 2:15 April 1st if we cannot come to campus. If that doesn't work for online students, they have a little more flexibility and they'll have to email me. And I'll be monitoring emails during the whole quiz times. Just like if I was sitting here in the room, I'd want to know if you had an issue. Okay, so I do want to know if you're having a problem while you're taking your quiz. So feel free to email me. Well, that's all the notes that I have. I imagine we'll all think of things afterwards as we're trying to go through this. And that's why, again, please keep an eye on your emails. And if somebody emails me something that's like, oh, I should tell the whole class that, I'll send it all along to all of you, okay? And here's where we're going to stop because the next video starts at this point in 4.4. So we'll get that posted. Enjoy your spring break and relax and try and enjoy the little break. Except don't relax too much. Get this app practice with this Adobe Scan. I'll see ya. Well, maybe I won't see ya. Okay, bye.